Good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a great start to your week. I happen to actually love Mondays. So many people grumble and groan about Mondays, but I love Mondays. Why do I love Mondays? I know people always ask me that. But first of all, with what I do for work, right, as a coach, it doesn't matter whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday is different for me because of Shabbat, or Sunday, right? I work pretty much all the time talking to my clients, so it really doesn't matter to me days of the week. But I love Mondays because for so many people, Mondays are a new start. Mondays are, where people are, starting over and starting new things, or really just saying, okay, this is my reset button is Monday. And so I love thinking about that. I love when I wake up on Monday morning saying, yes, I've got a new week and another thing to leap forward to. And what are my goals for the week? And what do I want to accomplish? And where do I want to go? So I happen to really love Mondays. And really, thrive on them. So if you also love Mondays, throw it in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're on here now live, put in #live. And if you catch this in the replay, because I know there are a bunch of you who catch this in the replay, let me know that you're watching this in the replay. I always love to see who's watching, who's on live, and who's in the replay, and if what I'm saying is helpful to you. Because if it's not, then I'm going to tweak up what I'm saying because, right, I want to talk about things that are going to help people because that's my goal, is helping people get healthy and make some changes. So tonight I'm going to talk about something that is super, super, super important, right? Besides the fact that I love Mondays, because that's how I started. But tonight I'm going to talk about the power of healthy sleep. So healthy sleep is so, so, so important to all of us. And I'm going to tell you part of why I'm talking about this is because I need to refocus my brain on getting myself back on track for my healthy sleep. Okay. So when I started trying, my real journey to get healthy 3 years ago, I was terrible about sleep, right? I was up way too late at night. I mean, if I was in bed by 2 a.m., I was lucky, right? I was up till crazy hours of the night, and then I was up super duper early because I have 3 little kids. So my kids were up and I had to get them ready for school and out the door and everything else. So sleep was one of the huge bad habits that I had when I started trying to get healthy 3 years ago. And it was something that I made a very conscious effort and said when I was starting the program that I was going to focus on sleep and I was going to create some new healthier habits revolving around sleep. And I did really well with that for a while. It took me some time, right? I didn't go from going to bed at 2 a.m. back to going to bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock every night right away, but I worked myself backwards, right? So I would go to bed a little bit earlier and a little bit earlier and a little bit earlier. But the truth was, when I was up that late, I wasn't doing anything really good. I do happen to like my late nights because the whole house is quiet, right? Everybody's asleep now. My kids are asleep. My husband's upstairs, asleep. It's quiet. The dogs are, they're here, but they're already asleep. Like during the day when I'm online and I'm talking to people that, I don't know if you've ever seen me go live other times where, especially Izzy comes up and like nudges her face into me, but now she's conked out because it's late enough that she's laying out here on the floor over here, ignoring the fact that I'm talking. And so it's just a different kind of peaceful time in my house, which I really enjoy, right? I get some stuff done. But the truth of the fact is, when I'm up late after a certain point, I'm not getting anything productive done, right? I'm tired. I might be goofing around. I usually end up in the kitchen eating things that I shouldn't eat, right? Nothing good happens when I stay up too late. And so that was one of the things that I started focusing on, 3 years ago is, okay, how am I going to slowly move that back? What are things that I'm really doing that are really productive? And once those things are done, I can start going to bed, right? And for a while, I was really, really, really good about going to bed on time, somewhere between 10:30 and 11. For a while, I was, going upstairs at 10:30 and my lights were off by 11. And I was really good about it. And I felt so much better. I felt so good. And the last few months, I've sort of slipped back into old bad habits because that's what happens with habits. I've talked about this before, that we get into habit loops, and that's really, it's a problem, right? We get into these old bad habits, and habits never, ever, ever totally go away. If anybody tells you that you can totally get rid of a habit, they're lying to you. A habit doesn't totally go away, but we can replace them with new, better habits. But what happens is, life happens, right? And those habits that we've had for a really long time, those tend to creep back in if we're not being really careful. And that's one of the reasons why, one of the things that I love about coaching is that it keeps creating those habits in the forefront of my mind, right? Because as I'm helping other people do this, it makes me talk about it and think about it Frozen mint bars, Jason, is a habit for you. That's if you're eating them at the right times, that's not a bad habit. That's actually a good habit. If you're eating every 2 to 3 hours, I love frozen mint bars too. But for me, the bad habit of staying up too late has crept back in, and that's why, as you guys have noticed, I've been going live a little bit later and a little bit later and a little bit later. Well, tonight's earlier. It's only 10:15, right? And I am intentionally doing this and intentionally talking about sleep because I got to start getting to bed earlier. I'm up super early. I start my morning every day at 5:15 in the morning. So when I'm up until midnight, right, doing lives or talking to people or doing whatever I'm doing until midnight, right, I'm not getting enough sleep, and it's not good, and it throws everything off. So, I want to talk about some of the things that really can happen. Sherry, your bad habit is mini pretzels at the water cooler at work. Yes, that's a bad habit. Yes. So you need to find something to replace that habit with. But why is sleep so important, right? That's what I want to talk about. Why is sleep so important? So sleep is really important for a lot of reasons, for our own health. First of all, poor sleep can cause weight gain, right? For a variety of reasons. First of all, one of the big things for me, I stay up too late. I end up in the kitchen eating things that I shouldn't eat, right? Last night, I found myself standing in the kitchen thinking I was hungry, and I literally said to myself out loud, "You are not hungry. It is too late. Go to bed," right? And last night I was able to do that and able to literally talk myself out of it and go to bed. Some nights I'm not so good about that. Last night I was really good because, as we've talked about, I am right back on plan. I want to feel good again after being off plan for Passover and eating things that I shouldn't have been eating. I feel it. And so last night it was easy for me to say that. Some nights it's not so easy. But poor sleep is completely linked to weight gain. When you don't get enough sleep, your body creates a hormone called ghrelin, which is literally a hunger hormone. So it makes you hungrier, right? So it's a real physiological thing that when you're not getting enough sleep, you end up eating more, right? Because you're hungry, you end up eating higher calorie, fattier foods, things that aren't healthy for you. It all comes into a cycle, right? I know when I don't get enough sleep, when I really don't get enough sleep, I'll wake up in the morning and say, this is going to be a hungry day. And I can plan my day accordingly so that I don't overeat on things that I shouldn't eat. But it's real hard. And then at night when you're tired and you lose thought process and you lose you stop being rational and you make silly mistakes. And that's where we start gaining the weight, because we start eating things that we shouldn't be eating, right? So that's one of the big things, that not unhealthy sleep, not enough sleep can definitely lead to weight gain. But good sleepers actually eat fewer calories. Studies show that people who are sleep deprived have a bigger appetite, which is what I talked about, the ghrelin. But if you get good sleep, your body uses what it needs. Good sleep can also improve your concentration and productivity, right? If you're sleepy and you're tired, how hard is it to sit there and focus on anything, right? I know when I'm tired, it takes me twice as long to do certain things that I could do if I'm not tired in a heartbeat, right? And I have to stop and think. And we see that with people who are driving, right? That's a big cause of accidents, people who are sleep deprived, because their reaction time is slower. It's really not healthy. Poor sleepers have a greater risk of heart disease and stroke. Sherry said there's a huge urban legend going on about waking up early for better productive life. What they didn't talk about is when these people go to sleep for a proper number of hours of sleep. Exactly. So I get up, or I've changed my schedule, Sherry, exactly on that I get up earlier now because I am more productive in the morning. But I didn't adjust my hours at night. So I feel that when I don't adjust my hours at night. When I adjust my hours back at night and still get up early, then I am much more productive in the morning. I get a lot more done, and I really like that. And that same morning time, I was talking about my evening time where it's nice and quiet in the house. So the morning time does the same thing for me. It's before my kids are awake, right? I usually get up after my husband gets up and goes to synagogue in the morning. So the house is still quiet. So I get that same thing in the morning that I get in the evening. But I'm fresh. Hopefully I'm fresh. If I've actually gotten a good night's sleep, I'm fresh. When I haven't gotten a good night's sleep, I'm not fresh, and it's not productive. But poor sleepers have a greater risk of heart disease and stroke. That's what I was getting ready to say. it's definitely known and proven that the duration of your sleep can have a major effect on your health risks. And there are factors like it causes chronic diseases, heart disease. There have been all kinds of studies that have shown that people that don't get enough sleep are far greater risk of heart disease than those who do get enough sleep. So that's super, super important. Yes, I agree, Sherry, that they are scamming people because they are not talking about adjusting it. They're just talking about getting up earlier in the morning. And the truth is, when I first said I was going to get up early in the morning, I wasn't ready to adjust my nighttime. And so I wouldn't do it for a long time because I said I was really productive at night. And then once I started realizing that I wasn't so productive at night, I decided to make a shift. And now I'm really trying to make that full shift. Poor sleep is linked to depression, right? So many Americans suffer from depression and anxiety, and part of that is sleep deprivation. It really, really causes it. I see this when I work with a lot of my clients who are struggling with those things. When we start adjusting their sleep and they get proper amounts of sleep, also hydration can also affect that, and proper nutrition. But when they start getting proper amounts of sleep, it definitely improves their depression. So that's something, if you're struggling with anxiety or depression, check your sleep. How much sleep are you getting? Are you getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night? And if you're not, let's see if we can work on that and see if we can improve your sleep and see if that fixes some of it, because it might, right? Not everything does, right? It's not the cure-all for everything, but for a lot of people it does at least make some improvement. Healthy sleep also improves your immune function, right? That's, our immune systems. I always can tell when I haven't gotten enough sleep. I'll wake up congested and like feeling throat scratchy and feeling like I'm starting to get sick, and as soon as I catch up on my sleep, that goes away if it doesn't turn into something. But it definitely affects our immune system if we're not getting enough sleep. Poor sleep is linked to increased inflammation. Inflammation is so powerful and negative, right? That gives us a lot of our aches and pains, and joint issues, right? A lot of this is tied to inflammation, and when we can reduce the inflammation and weight gain and water weight, that's all tied to inflammation. Headaches are caused from inflammation. There's so many things, and that is all been linked to unhealthy sleep patterns. A big thing, there was a study actually that was done about with sleep, that with men who were getting less than 5 hours of sleep at night, and unfortunately a lot of people do get 5 or less hours of sleep at night, their bodies start to respond as if they have type 2 diabetes. They start, their insulin levels change as if they have type 2 diabetes. It's really actually very scary. So it has a physiological crazy change on your body if you're not getting enough sleep. So what are some things that you can do, right? That's the next thing. Okay, I've told you all these things. What does unhealthy sleep do to you? We know it does all kinds of bad things. But what can we do to help our sleep schedule? So one of the things that I said in the very beginning is if you are a night owl, don't say, okay, instead of going to bed at midnight, I'm going to start going to bed at 10 p.m. because you're probably not going to stick to that. It might last for a few days, and then you'll start feeling better, and then you'll start slowly creeping back up, and that habit's not going to last. So what can we do? We start changing our routine slowly, right? You start creeping it back 10 minutes at a time, 5 minutes at a time if you can, right? If you normally go to bed at midnight, take it back to 11:50, then take it back to 11:40, right? Slowly back, or even 11:55, 11:45, whatever, just slowly back until you get to a place that you're finding your right balance where you're feeling really good. So that's the first thing is shift that time slowly over a course of a couple of weeks if you need to, right? Create yourself a good bedtime routine, a good bedtime schedule, right? So maybe that routine is that you shut off your computer, your phone, because that's important to do, to shut it off about 30 to 45 minutes, even an hour before, just because the light's from it. And if not, I actually have my blue light filter on right now, because the blue light, that helps some of it, because it definitely affects our eyes, and it definitely revs up our brain to keep us awake, the lights from the computers and the phones. But shut that off a half an hour to an hour before you're ready to go to bed, and maybe go take a nice bubble bath or a shower or read a book or solve a puzzle. Do something to start a ritual that's going to tell your body that when you do it enough, a same routine over and over, that's when you should start winding down. We do this with our babies, right? We do this with little kids. I know when my kids were really little, we had that nighttime routine that they would, we would feed them dinner, and then we would read stories, and then we would give them a bath, whatever it is, right? We do that with our kids to give them that routine, to wind them down. Well, our bodies need the same thing. We need that wind down time. So set a schedule and then stick to it. And don't just stick to that schedule Monday through Sunday through Thursday, right? You really want to keep your schedule as close to possible 7 days a week, because your body relies on that. Your body doesn't understand weekend versus not weekend, right? It's the same. The next thing is avoid caffeine at night. I know, well, there's one person who was on here for a minute and she popped back out, but she and I have discussed this many times. Avoid caffeine at night, because that revs up your system, and it doesn't help. It doesn't promote good, healthy sleep. It's definitely, if you want a cup of coffee at night, drink decaf or drink decaf tea, but definitely keep that caffeine down. Stop eating usually 1 to 2 hours before sleep, especially something heavy. I mean, I know clients that I work with that use our products. They're not heavy, and so people can have them and do okay having them closer to bedtime, but especially don't have a heavy meal that close to bedtime, because it sits in your stomach and it makes it harder to sleep, and it makes it harder to digest, and it just turns out to you don't feel good with it, right? So if you're going to have something small, have something before bed, have something really small, have something really light. Like I said before, relax. When you're setting up your schedule, do something relaxing before bedtime. Whatever that is that helps you relax. Maybe it's some meditation. Maybe it's a little bit of yoga. Maybe it is, reading a book. Or if you like to knit or needlepoint or something, or I'm a jigsaw puzzle person, right? Something to do to help your brain start to relax. The next thing is creating an optimal health sleep environment, right? We need a healthy sleep environment. So a sleep environment, your room should be dark, right? Even your clock that is like that red light, that's really bad for our eyes. But so try to cover some of those things. My phone, I flip it upside down so that the light from it doesn't bother us, because it will bother you in the middle at night. My husband actually keeps his phone downstairs. I use mine as an alarm clock, so mine is upstairs. But if you can keep that out of your room, that's great. Avoid the electronics. Don't fall asleep with the television on. That's so bad. Your brain can't relax because you are processing in. And if you get into bed and you're laying there for a good, 20, 30 minutes and you can't fall asleep, maybe because you have a lot of things running through your head, maybe you've got some anxiety, maybe you're just not tired, get up. Get up and, do something, do a relaxing activity, right? Maybe that's where you bring in the meditation or the yoga or something else, or read a book, something that's going to relax you, and then try again. Because if you lay there just tossing and turning, you're not going to get great sleep and you're not going to feel great. So hopefully some of these tips are helpful. If you are learning some things about healthy sleep, maybe you're going to, try to take some of these things and start to move your bedtime a little bit earlier. I know that is my goal for this week, is really to focus on my healthy sleep. We'll see how this goes. You guys can call me out if I go live too late at night. So my lives are going to hopefully shift to this, around this time, this 10 o'clock time, so that I can start winding down and getting into bed, and so that I can go to bed earlier, because like I said, I'm up super early. So I hope this is helpful. If you have questions about sleep, if you need help putting together a good sleep schedule, please reach out. I'd be happy to help you. But let's see where this goes. And let me know if you start to adjust your sleep schedule and you start to feel better. I would also love, love, love to hear that. So I hope you have a great night. I am getting ready to go wind down and start getting myself into bed, because I intend to be lights out by 11. So I've got 32 minutes to finish what I need to do so I can go upstairs and get into bed in 32 minutes. Can we do it? Can I make it? Hopefully. That's my goal. And if I don't make it tonight, that's earlier. That's a big chunk earlier than it has been. That's about probably an hour earlier than it has been. So if I don't make it tonight, actually 11 o'clock is probably an hour and a half earlier than it has been. So if I don't quite make it tonight, that's going to be my goal by the end of the week, to be in bed by 11. So hopefully you guys can help me do that. Hold me accountable, because as I've talked about earlier, we all need accountability partners. So have a great night. I will see you back here tomorrow night, probably around 10 o'clock, since I'm trying to go earlier, maybe even a little bit earlier than that if I can swing it. But have a great night, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Bye.